You know the kind of guy who does nothing but bitch about how bad TV is nowadays and then wonders why no one in his life will listen to him complain? Well, that's me. Every time I watch something good, a show as bad as Ginny and Georgia is always waiting around the corner. Podcasting. That's when I realized that I had to start a show. So I grabbed my wife and our friend CL, and one by one, we're going to review every show I see, good or bad. I'm just trying to be an internet celebrity. My name is Logan. Hello. What did you guys think of that? Was that good?
I love it. It was great.
Okay. That was the most out of everything I have spoken and interviewed celebrities, and that was the most stressful thing I've ever had to do in my whole life.
That was great though.
I've told jokes in front of people and audiences, and I've been heard by hundreds of thousands of people at this point, and it's like nothing was as scary as that moment just now.
It was a good moment.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You did good.
Anyway, you might have guessed. We're a pilot podcast. We started this show. I almost said I started. Well, I guess I kind of, let's be real. I started it. It was my idea. Oh. Anyway.
No, I started. I'm just kidding.
No, I'm dirty.
I'm just along for the ride.
No, I'm dirty. Damn.
No, I'm dirty.
Anyway, so we're a podcast that our basic goal is that we watch television show pilots, and we tell you guys based on those pilots whether you should continue watching the show, whether you should give up, blah, blah, blah. And then if we do go into spoilers about the show, we actually list that in the timestamp. So you can listen to this without being spoiled for anything other than the pilots, but understand that if you're not paying attention to those timestamps, we dip into spoilers. You might be spoiled on something. What is our names?
I'm Frani.
I'm Cody /CL.
Mm-hmm. Logan. Yeah, that's me. My name is Logan.
My name is Logan.
We're reviewing two shows today, both in the Greg Garcia, Patty the Daytime Hooker verse.
I love it.
We're reviewing My Name Is Earl and Raising Hope. Let's go ahead and start with My Name Is Earl.
Cool.
Is everything all right over there?
Yeah, everything's good. I was just pulling up my Name Is Earl notes.
Okay, cool.
Oh, nice.
So, My Name Is Earl. I want to talk a bit about. Oh, that's right. Go ahead. I always do that. I always do that now. I used to never have a good intro, and now I always have good intros. But everybody's like, "Wait, we're reading the Wikipedia thing, so people understand what you're talking about."
Yeah.
So Wikipedia says, My Name is Earl is an American television sitcom created by Greg Garcia that aired on the NBC television network from September 2005 to May 2009. It was produced by 20th Century Fox and stars Jason Lee as Earl Hickey. And it's basically about a character who believes karma's out to get him. Sick.
Yeah, it's really great. So the idea of the show, it's kind of like almost like a beginning of like a messiah story. Like there's this character, Earl, who's always done bad his whole life, and basically you want to talk about the pilot in general, because the pilot actually explains it really well.
Yeah.
Right, I'll get into like the production notes after we talk about the pilot. So in the pilot episode, we come up on this criminal who's robbing someone at a gas station. I don't know if it's actually shown that he's robbing anyone.
It's more like he's just walking into a gas station, it shows that he's the kind of guy that you wait in your car and don't have your wife walk into the gas station at the same time, is kind of what they say. Mm-hmm. And he goes into the gas station and he actually purchases a winning lottery ticket, and then promptly gets hit by a car.
That old lady is the best.
Yep.
He got Regina Georged.
Yeah, he got Regina George. Nice.
So when he gets hit by a car, the lottery ticket flies out of his hand. He can't find it. He goes unconscious. He wakes up in the hospital.
Yeah, he wakes up in the hospital, and his current wife walks in, and while he's delirious under drugs, like not even like there, because of course he was hit by a car, so he's like in a splint and a bunch of other crazy shit. She walks in and has him sign over his trailer as well as sign divorce papers, and she leaves and goes, oh, by the way, and this is like a close friend of his that's with her, Crabman, who you'll learn to love Crabman. He's the best character. But
I already love Crabman.
I know. But it's funny. It's a funny thing that people love Crabman so much, because that's what Eddie Steeples is so brilliant as Crabman. It's really hard to walk that line, because on everything on paper, you should hate Crabman. Crabman's the dude that was cheating with Joy. Crabman's the guy who serves people like definitely not restaurant grade food. Like basically he's feeding them poison. He's also secretive about his life, which I don't want to get into too much, but he's an odd character for people to like so much, and that's why this show is so well cast. Like, every character is spot on, perfectly cast. But basically he signs over everything. His life is like going to shit, right? And then Carson Daly comes on television and teaches him about karma. And after giving it a try, after he gets out of the hospital, you know, picking up litter, doing all this other stuff, he actually gets his ticket back from in the wind immediately. And then he knows that it's the right thing for him to do. And he decides, okay, I'm gonna keep to this list of everything I wrote down that I've ever done wrong. He wrote down an entire list. And he's gonna spend his life crossing everything off this list in order to try to get in good graces with karma and have a better life, because he knows that his life's been shitty, and it's because he's been shitty to people.
Which is such a great concept for a show. It's basically like a bucket list for doing good things.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing because, I mean, just based on the character, you don't expect that from him. So I like that, it's a character that you don't usually have. He's kind of an anti-hero. And then also just the premise.
Yeah, I don't know how many shows get you to sympathize with like a rotten criminal. Like, that's what he is. He's a crook.
Right.
His whole inner circle is filled with criminals. And so in this first, okay, so I think I can get into some production stuff now. So when they were casting this show, Greg Garcia wrote it for Jason Lee. He saw Mallrats as well as he saw Almost Famous, and he thought, this dude's got such an interesting tone. He almost sounds a little bit like a scumbag in the way he speaks, but he's also very, like, inherently, I guess you could say, charming in the way he speaks as well.
Yeah, he's got a charisma.
He's got like a scumbagness to him that you like. He's like that. He's like a dirty little scumbag you find cute.
Yeah.
Especially like in the 90s. Like, he very much embodied that with movies like Mallrats and Vanilla Sky and stuff like that.
This show started in 2005.
Yep. So this was a little bit after, but Jason Lee infamously refused all forms of television. He did not want to be on TV ever. So his manager would never even give him scripts for TV because he was like very adamant, like, you know, I quit professional skateboarding. I'm not in this for the money. I do movies because I find like that film is like an important piece of art and I want to engage in that art. He was very much like, I make things that I want to make, I don't make things for money.
Right.
Which later changed because he was in all those Alvin and the Chipmunks movies, but whatever. And you know, the whole Scientology thing. But he moved on from that, so we don't have to give him shit about that anymore. But so Greg Garcia is like trying all these people, and there are some people that have been openly said that they tried, like they tried Jason Bateman for Earl. They've tried, what was another one I read? They tried what's his name? David Spade. They tried a lot of different people for the role of Earl, and everybody was like super into it, but he just couldn't find what he wanted, and he wasn't willing to cast the rest of the show until he had somebody. But they had tried so many people that it became a meme in Hollywood that nobody could cast My Name Is Earl. So when Jason heard about that and then heard that the show was actually written from him, he had never heard of My Name Is Earl before. He never got handed the script. So he's like, well, if everybody's trying for this role but nobody's getting it, that must mean that it's a really good show. So we read it and then took the part. So it feels almost like a segment that would happen on My Name Is Earl, where it's like some sort of like mystical way it gets back to him that it exists, and then he goes for it.
That's so funny.
And then the thing is he was like best friends with Ethan Suplee, the guy who plays Randy, but they were cast not knowing that they were best friends.
Oh, really?
So Greg Garcia was watching a movie called Without a Paddle. Don't know if you've ever seen it, with Matthew Lillard and Seth Green and stuff. And he plays this like hillbilly who's like hunting, like Ethan Suplee plays this hillbilly that's like hunting these guys, right? And by the way, stop me if I'm being boring, by the way. But anyway, so he's watching the DVD commentary of Without a Paddle, which seems like actual torture, but that's what Greg Garcia's into, I guess. And he hears the reason why Ethan Suplee's character never points the gun at them. And it's because Ethan Suplee, for hours and hours that day, refused to point the gun at the other actors because he said he didn't believe his character would point the gun at them. He said after all this running and chasing around, but yet having fun with these guys, he would never, my character, who's like very sweethearted and doesn't understand what he's really doing, would never point a gun at them. And Greg was so taken with the idea of a guy getting so into his character that he refuses the directions of the director.
I love that.
And he goes, Randy is such a fucking hard character to cast. I want to give it to somebody who embodies this character. So when they did the pilot, Ethan Suplee, actually, the reason why you see Randy looking up at the sky the whole time with his mouth open is because he said that he wrote this about Randy. Ethan Suplee said that Randy has a deviated septum and is always looking for aliens. And that's when he knew that he picked the perfect Randy to be on the show.
I love that. That's so fucking... Wait, so Ethan Suplee wrote that, like... He came up himself?
Yeah, that's his idea.
That's so funny.
And that's why the deviated septum thing sticks throughout the show. And you're looking out for aliens and stuff. And the fear of birds, because he said at one point he's convinced that every bird that flies over could be a flying saucer.
I love him.
And then obviously the Jamie Presley character who plays Joy. I don't know much about her casting choices, but they said that those were the scenes they had to reshoot all the time because they could not get the crew to stop laughing when she'd do the performance because she was so fucking good.
She's perfect for it.
Joy might be the best acted character in the whole show.
I agree with that.
And I'm sure Madison and Bridget are listening to this. Sorry we couldn't get you guys on this pod. I know you guys, they just got busy moving. They wanted to call in for this, but I think they're probably a little busy. But obviously they love the show. Just saying for Crosscut Cinema fans, our friends Madison and Bridget love this show.
We actually got them into it.
Madison knew about it for a long time.
We got her back into it.
She used to watch it with her siblings like I did. It's one of those shows that when you're younger, you know it's funny, but as an adult, you see how genius My Name Is Earl is. I mean, this show is fucking genius in everything it does. Now that we got to that, I want to get back to the pilot a little bit. Sorry, I got off on a tangent.
One other casting thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not Patty the Daytime Hooker. I was just looking at like just the cast and things about the pilot, and Patty the Daytime Hooker is actually trans now. He is Dale Dickey instead of Diana Dale Dickey, and is still acting.
That's awesome.
I know.
That further makes me want to do if you don't know this about Greg Garcia's Worlds, Patty the Daytime Hooker is like his Thanos. Not his Thanos. I guess that's not the right term for it. It's like his connecting character. It's his Jay and Silent Bob of his TV universe. Everybody always says they want a Patty the Daytime Hooker TV movie. Your mic's a little low.
Oh.
There you go.
Yeah, I want a Patty the Daytime Hooker movie.
Yeah, like give me like a Netflix movie or a Hulu movie or I don't know what Greg Garcia is really working with everybody here for, but anyway, I'll get back to the pilot for a second. So,
or even Pat the Daytime Hooker.
Pat, or just like give us like a full
Patrick the Daytime Hooker.
Give us a full origin story, like Patty talks about in later episodes. And actually in both shows, because like I said, she's in Raising Hope as well. She always brings up that she has a master's degree. I want to know in what. Right. And I want like a full scope of things. But anyway, so like I said, the second part of the pilot, because the first part is introducing you to this is what karma is. This is showing that like Joy is going to be a permanent character because she comes looking for the money. Mm-hmm. This is like introducing the universe to you. And then they go straight into his first list item, which is...
I'm already laughing because I just love this fucking pilot. For anybody who hasn't seen this show, please watch it.
It's really fun. It's
so fucking good.
It's one of these shows that's deceptively smart. You know how Big Bang Theory is like deceptively actually stupid?
Yeah.
My Name Is Earl's kind of the opposite, where it gives you like a veil of buffoonery and dumb dick and fart jokes, and it's not that at all. It's actually really... It's really well paced, and it's full of like moral and good storytelling and good characters.
It is a show that you can kind of jump in anywhere sometimes, but it is very episodic too. Like there's an overall story.
I mean, there is a journey with him in his list, a legitimate journey. Yeah. And we'll get into spoilers after we get through the rest of this pilot, because there are things that I want to say, and then there's things that I might have to ask Franny to leave the room again about because I don't want her to know yet.
Yeah, no, I do not want any spoilers. We've been episodically watching.
Oh God. Anyway, I'm sure from last week you guys know that she didn't finish Loki, so I'm sure you guys think it's really hilarious that she's willing to finish My Name Is Earl.
I don't know. Maybe you swayed me on Loki.
Yeah, maybe
we'll find out.
But you definitely in the last podcast you didn't know that was what I'm saying, because they're going to hear that part first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so he finds on his list that he used to torture this kid Kenny in elementary school, and then he says, you know what, I need to make it up to Kenny because I tortured that kid like every day of his life. Kenny's even a character that is on his list multiple times because of how horrible he was to Kenny.
Yeah.
And so Earl starts stalking Kenny because he doesn't know how to not be a degenerate criminal yet. So he doesn't know how to approach yet. Usually, like, as the show goes on, this isn't really a spoiler. He'll just be up front and approach and be like, hey, so I did this to you. I have this list. But at this point, this is brand new. He doesn't know what to do. So they're hanging out with their cleaning lady at the motel. They share a bed with him and Randy. They're hanging out with their cleaning lady, Catalina, as they're stalking this man. And the Catalina character is also really great. There's like five main characters to this show, and all of them are really fantastic, but also total caricatures that slowly morph into real characters. Like in the first episode, Randy's just an idiot, Joey's just a bitch, Crabman's just a dude that says, "Hey, Earl," and Catalina is just like this ridiculously gorgeous immigrant.
Yeah, who's just along for the ride.
Yeah, who's just like literally like so perfect. But anyway, so after stalking Kenny for a while, he notices that Kenny has a nice house, Kenny has a great job, financially stable, independent, but he does notice that he thinks Kenny is lonely. He's always spending all his nights alone, eating at his like little couch tray with his ramen noodles or his microwave dinner, watching Magnum PI or whatever, or I don't know what it is, but he says something like some funny show. And Earl comes to the conclusion, what Kenny needs is a woman. Now, mind you, I think even in 2005, you could look at Kenny and the way he was trying to wash his car and have a conclusion that a woman is not the correct answer.
Yeah.
But Earl is a 2005 Republican criminal who probably has never met a gay person. In fact, I think that's kind of the meme.
Yeah.
So basically, Earl and Randy just send Patty the daytime hooker, to go have sex with Kenny, and her build up is like, she always she doesn't want to go to jail, so she always has like a falsehood of why she enters the home, like raising money for such and such. And she's trying everything to have sex with Kenny. She gets kicked out, and he gave her like $10 to save the whales or some shit. And they're like, what the fuck? Like he really gave up like free sex with this chick. So they run in there, him and Randy. And this is my favorite scene in the whole pilot. So Earl goes in there and goes like, you need a lady. And Kenny's like, I don't need anything. Like, what are you doing in my house? Blah, blah, blah. And this is like, I think this is the first time Earl breaks in, because he does break in later again.
Yeah.
But Earl breaks in the first time and he's like, what are you doing? I tried to get you like free sex with this lady and you didn't even accept that. Like, that's crazy. Like, I sent it in. And then Randy's digging through Kenny's drawers while he's doing this, like a toddler. Because that's the Randy character. He's digging through drawers and he picks up a magazine and he goes, Earl, I think you're trying to sell a cat to a man who fancies dogs, and throws a like Playgirl magazine onto the mattress. And then what was the song that played was so perfect? I can't remember what it is. Is it Castaway? I can't remember how it goes, but like it's so perfect.
Yeah.
Given the scenario, because it's like such like a man love song, you know what I mean? And like Kenny's sitting there like all nervous face.
I love that they just back away.
And then he's like, this may sound ridiculous to you, but back in this time, we had never met a gay man in Camden. He's like, I realize now that running was probably not necessary. And you see him back out and then run out of the building.
Oh gosh.
But the episode really concludes, and also this is after a lot of like you see little intricacies, like whenever they play a song on the jukebox, Randy always dances. Like there's a lot of intricacies introduced in this pilot episode. And it comes together in a funny way because Earl comes back and is like, I'm sorry I ran out. Why don't you have a man? Blah, blah, blah. He's like, of course he's like being all like, I don't know how to talk about wieners touching wieners, but he's trying to be a good person and you see the earnest attempts. Like you see him being like, Kenny, I don't want to judge you for who you are.
Yeah, he didn't give up.
I just want to make up for being an asshole to you.
Yeah, he didn't give up even though he didn't understand.
Yeah. And so Kenny goes, I drove all the way to this gay bar and then I was too scared to go in. And Earl's like, fuck it, I'll go in with you. And Kenny's like, Earl Hickey's going to take me to a gay bar? And he's like, yeah, I guess I fucking have to. And they go to the gay bar and like, at this point, Earl like doesn't understand that he's already made up for what he did by just showing Kenny like the basic human, emotion of being like, okay, you're a human being, I'm a human being, I respect you, and I don't want you to feel the way I made you feel when you were a kid.
Right.
And that was enough for Kenny to be like, you can cross me off your list, because Earl was like trying to like walk over to gay dudes like, you think that man's handsome? I'll go get him. And Kenny's like, that's enough. I don't need you for that. Thank you. But then the best part so the ending comes, right? And the music that Randy always hears at the Crab Shack that he breaks down to is playing in this gay bar. So then he does the fishing line dance move, the one from like the 70s. He does that and hooks creator Greg Garcia and reels him in.
I did not know that.
Now, fun thing about Greg Garcia, I believe he's bisexual. He's married to a woman, but he's always been an ally as well. And he felt, okay, we're going to have basically this gay guy punchline at the end of the show. I want it to be like appropriate. I don't want somebody to do it wrong. So he felt that he needed to do it himself. And it was really funny.
You can almost tell that he is somewhere in the community because I don't know why, but whenever you watch a TV show and they're in that scenario, there's always like, oh, I don't want the gay guys to hit on me and whatever. And that was just so not the case.
No.
This. And that was really refreshing.
No, this show was incredibly woke for 2005.
I agree.
Especially considering that the protagonists are the butts of the joke for not understanding gay culture, not the other way around.
Yeah, that's true.
The joke wasn't that Kenny was gay. The joke was Earl and Randy were idiots. That's the joke. And and like later, in the show, like without spoilers, there's some predatory gay jokes, but they're all like well within good fun. Like I wouldn't consider them to be insulting. I think that they're just really funny. And realistic as well, because you got to think about the fact that Kenny's in Camden County. He doesn't have a lot of gay men there.
Yeah.
So he's going to make a lot of leaps and bounds to try to meet gay men where he lives. Makes sense. Yeah. But overall, what did you guys think of the pilot before we dive into spoilers? I think that this pilot was amazing, by the way.
I'm going to say like 9.5. Like this is a really fucking solid pilot.
It's so good.
And it's like, I loved the shots. I loved the immediate payoff that he gets in both situations where it's like, well, this wouldn't happen. And then he gets hit by a car and then it comes back. Like, I love all these like immediate payoffs. And then I also love the little long-term things like you were saying with the jukebox and how it comes back at the end. And I just feel like it really ties itself together in a nice bow. And I just really enjoy that about it.
Like, it does great reincorporation because, like, for instance, like, the Kenny character, right? Like when he was a kid as well as when he was adult would always like he was kind of like, the goofy guy that like couldn't really like orchestrate an event. Like if he was trying to hit a baseball, he was going to accidentally hit himself in the face with the bat. If he's trying to hit Earl with pepper spray, he's going to hit his own eyes with pepper spray.
And they do like flashbacks for like that kind of stuff. But
and the kid actor for Earl, who they keep throughout the whole show, he's fucking awesome. I think he's so good and believable as Earl, even though he looks nothing like Jason Lee.
He nails it.
He nails that character. He's so good. He's got such a shit-eating grin the whole time. You just want to hit him because that's how Earl was when he was a kid.
I love that.
I love this pilot, and it's so funny. Like I remember like seeing this show in passing growing up and like throughout my life, but like a couple years ago, Logan and I kind of sat down and watched.
I made you watch it. You thought it was dumb.
Yeah,
this is how it came to be. We were looking at stuff. It was on Netflix at the time. And I was like, oh my God, this show's so great. And you're like, My Name Is Earl. That sounds stupid. Let's watch it. I'm like, oh, you're going to be so wrong about this. And you fucking loved it. We watched so much of it then. We got through like 2 whole seasons in like a couple of days.
And even watching it, even though I've just like watched it within 5 years, I'd say, it's still so good. Like, even if you think
aged very well.
If you think you've like watched enough of My Name Is Earl, like just seeing it in passing, like go back, sit down, like watch the pilot and like watch the show. I feel like it's really just like a good lesson for people too. Like the way they teach you about like karma and
it's a great moral story.
And it doesn't like, and it keeps like the trashiness and the levity because of the characters. But it really builds them. I just love this fucking show. I love the pilot too. I think the pilot is a real hooker, just like Patty. Hey. But no, I can't imagine like a friend of mine that I could show this pilot to and them not want to like at least watch another episode.
Yeah, I avoided this show forever when I was younger because I thought My Name Is Earl. I was like, this is gonna be dumb as shit, and I loved it.
It comes off very like it has got that vibes to it. Where like boomers always think I'm gonna like The Big Bang Theory. No. It's like the opposite effect where like this show really gives you like, oh, if you're super, and by the way, this is kind of weird for me to say because we just did this the other night. If you're super into Jackass with Johnny Knoxville, you'll love My Name Is Earl. Not necessarily true. I think that this
Although
show.
we're into both. I'm just kidding.
I'm into watching Jackass when I've had a couple of Minecraft moments and I'm just feeling like watching people do dumb shit.
Yeah.
But like as far as like something I can actually get entranced to that has a great story, I mean, this is really great. I give this pilot a 10 out of 10. Legit.
Yeah, I didn't get around to my review yet, but I give this a 10 out of 10.
All right, before we get into spoilers, we should go over who we think we are. I think that I'm such an Earl that it's painful. But if you want to call me a Randy, I'll accept that, or a Crabman. But I don't think
you're Crabman.
I think that Frani and I are Joy and Earl's marriage before they get divorced.
Right? Because I mean, I'm Joy, obviously.
Yeah.
You'll see, like, we'll talk about it in spoilers, but there's an episode where, like, I was just like, Logan, I'm Joy.
It was bad. It was bad. I would definitely say that Cody radiates Catalina energy for sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Where, like, you really think, like, 99% of the time that Cody's, like, he's got the right opinion on stuff, but every once in a while he'll say something that really startles me.
And, like, he's got, like, a very, like, cheery way of saying, like, morbid shit.
A cheery disposition to be like, and I lost my brother's legs, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
he's got, like, an angelic presence, just like
exactly.
Catalina does, but it's a little fucked up.
She does have, I think, my favorite line in the pilot where it's like, you put all that trash back. I don't want my boss thinking that's going to be a regular thing.
That's literally you, though.
I know. I'm like, no.
That's you, 100%. Yeah, and then are we going to do Fuck, Marry, Kill, or can we move on from this?
Ooh, I want to hear which brother Frani would choose.
I know which one she'd choose. She'd pick Earl. She talks about how hot Earl is all the time.
So hot in this.
She
Something
literally
about him.
She literally thinks that he is like standing hot, like Jason
Right.
Lee, but also this particular version.
Fuck.
Even.
Oh, Logan and I always joke too that they should redo My Name's Earl. Have you seen Ethan Supply recently?
Oh no, I'm gonna get into that. We'll get into that.
Okay,
I know exactly where you're going.
okay.
We'll get into that. You'll have your
Okay.
chance. I promise.
Okay.
And yes, I have.
But yeah, if you guys haven't seen Ethan Supply, he has got a 6-pack now and stuff, so he looks amazing.
Chris Pratt effect.
More even than that. He did the Tour de France while he was fat, and then did it 2 more times while he was skinny.
That's amazing.
Like there's elite athletes who can't do it.
That's amazing.
I would say fuck, marry, kill. God, I love them all. I don't want to kill any of them.
I mean, I definitely think that I would kill Randy for his sake. Not that I don't love that character,
Mercy killing.
but if he ever loses Earl, he needs to be put down like a dog. Like he just
Yeah.
can't exist without him.
Come to the backyard,
So maybe fuck Joy.
Of course, 1,000%. Well, you know what though, Catalina though too. That's tough. That's really tough. It's a tough one.
Joy.
Very, very hot women in this show. I don't know if that was necessarily what they intended, but that's what they got.
Marry Earl. And probably kill Randy for your reason. I wouldn't want him hanging out with us always, you know. I wouldn't want him living with us. Like I don't know.
She said, I don't want your dumbass brother around.
I would probably kill Crabman, and I'll tell you guys why later. I would marry Catalina so she could become a citizen of the United States.
Aww.
And I would fuck Joy 1,100,000,000%.
I love that. I would marry Catalina because A, you get it all the time, and B, she cleans.
There you
That's
go.
very handy.
I gotta tell you, that's like asking a mailman to go on a walk. That seems kind of fucked up. To ask your maid wife to clean is such a bitch thing to do. Like, that's like asking someone who works at Subway to make you a sandwich. That's such a dick fucking move.
You say it sweetly.
You're like, hey, could you chop please? That's so wrong to me. I would not do that. I would clean for Catalina. If she was my wife, I'd
Wow.
simp so hard for her.
You
I
don't
would
even
clean
simp that
all the
hard
time.
for me.
Damn.
I'm joking.
I mean,
Ouch. Anyways, continue.
there's a reacher and there's a settler in every relationship.
I would slam Earl, kill Randy.
I like how you'd slam Earl. I understand
Well,
it.
You know, like, if it's that scummy, it's good. You know,
Right?
It's like, it's got to be good.
And at the end of the day, he is a professional athlete.
And
insane?
he believes in karma. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
He won't fuck you over because he's like, I don't want to put you on my list, bitch.
That's why I'd marry him. I feel like
Yeah.
he'd be a good husband.
Yeah.
But man, he would not be very present because he'd be busy doing his list. How could he pay attention to you?
Oh, damn.
It's fine. I'll be fucking Joy.
Anyway.
So spoilers.
All right, let's get into spoilers.
All right.
All right. Are you prepared for a lot of spoilers?
Yes. Tell me everything.
Okay. I won't get into season 4 at all because I don't know it that well, but I know what the cliffhanger ending
That they
is.
ended on? Okay.
And then I'll talk about that when Franny's left the room. I think
Okay.
that she needs to leave the room for that because if she doesn't remember, I don't want her to remember. But I just want to talk for a second about. Well, first I want to talk about if we were to bring the show back, what would we do?
Oh.
And that's where my idea came from.
And it was my idea.
I think this one was my idea.
It was
remaking the show and just having Randy be played by Ethan Suplee and them never mentioning
no. I said the never
Okay.
mentioning it thing. You said have him play Randy and like give like a dumb reason why. And I was like,
Oh
no,
yeah,
just,
give him a dumb reason why he's
But
buff now.
He's like,
I
I
actually
got my
thought-
flu shot.
I thought
I feel great.
I thought of something better. So this is what I would do. So, ow, my foot.
He repositioned to tell you this.
Well, it's because I'm sliding back, but my microphone stand also keeps falling, so I'm just going to talk. Anyway, so what I would do is I would make it to where Earl, like after the fact, because like I said, the show ends on a cliffhanger. It doesn't come to a conclusion. I would have the show come back, have as much time pass in the show as pass in real life, and make it to where Earl's become like a global phenomenon because he keeps getting on the news for doing all this stuff on his list. And he's basically like become like a self-help guru in a way. And he's selling books. And as a result of how famous he's been getting, Randy becomes his bodyguard and he becomes buff by how many people he's tossing off of Earl all the time. And
I
that
love
explains
that.
why he's all thick as fuck. I make Joy like in charge of his foundation with Crabman and Catalina be like a spokesperson for him. But in other words, I make it to where like the show starts with him basically finishing his list. But then what he doesn't realize is a part of something he invested in ruined thousands of people's lives.
Yeah.
So he has to put them all on his list. And that's like the big story is he's going through finding people that his company, his basically Kenneth Copeland, like he didn't realize, but Joy was like skewing numbers and like stealing money from people and stuff. And he has to go back and go through and make it up to everyone he's ever wronged. And that includes like any sort of thing he endorsed financially, like a skin cream that like makes a girl's face essentially burn off. Like really have him travel the entire country and have him start his brand new list. And he's also hated everywhere because of it, because he's been outed by the media. So everywhere he goes now, instead of being beloved, he gets like fucking, like old fruit thrown at him. And that's like karma fighting back against him.
yeah.
I think that would be such a good show.
I'd watch the shit out of that.
Isn't that so good? That like they could do it, man. It would take nothing. It would take nothing to bring it back. Everyone wants it back. It is like back in the general consciousness. There's so many My Name Is Earl memes back. Just bring the show back. Everyone wants it.
Right.
All right. What would you do if like do you have any ideas of what you would do if you wanted the show to come back? Like what's a premise you'd want?
Just make it the same and have Randy be fit, but
Randy be fit as fuck.
but never acknowledge the fact that he's
that's
fit
what we
as
talked
fuck.
about. Yeah, like still talk about him like he's fat. That was the original idea that I had. Thank you.
Okay, sure.
But
anyway.
just like treat him like, yeah, well, Randy couldn't, like, like let's say like there's a thing where Randy has to compete in a race. Like Randy can't win in a race. Look at him and just like show his six pack.
It's kind of amazing.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's only good for like 2 or 3
I
jokes
know.
though. But it is so funny. Like either one would be so funny. And
I'm trying to think of what I would do. Hear me out.
yeah.
It's called My Name Is Randy. And it's Randy going to people who have wronged him. He's making them apologize.
there you go.
Oh, and he's all big and tough, so they're afraid to say no.
Literally, they're afraid.
It's just like a 10-minute like college humor video.
Yeah.
That'd be good. I'd be even okay with that. Give us some kind of content.
Right.
All right.
Like if they just did like a YouTube series, just like ended.
Yeah. Franny, what was your favorite episode of My Name Is Earl that we've watched so far?
Oh my God, there's so many good ones.
I'll talk about a couple while you think about it, because I love the claymation episode.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one, Cody?
That's a crazy one. Especially if you're
so essentially
in the Matrix.
Essentially, one day during a heat wave, Randy and Earl. This was on his list. Randy and Earl, back when they were criminal, Randy and Earl, went to this guy's house, and he was so high on weed, apparently. Yet again, NBC, they had to make it seem like it was weed, but let's be real, it's probably something else.
Yeah.
They stole everything in his house while he was there, and then they even took the air conditioner. So, Earl sees that, like, he looks up the guy and he's like, we're going to go return his air conditioning thing to him and do something for him on our list, or like do something for him because of the list. And then what they come to find is that he's moved to a compound that's self-sufficient. So they do things like grow their own food, and for entertainment, there's a huge Friends fan who remembers every episode, and they put on plays as the characters from Friends. And, it's really fucking crazy, but it teaches Earl about climate change and global warming and shit like that. And Earl becomes like insane about it, and like is scared that the world's gonna blow up. And he's like, basically, karma isn't just after me; it's after everybody who's doing wrong to the earth. And one day the earth is gonna strike back because of karma. And so he's like freaking out. Meanwhile, Randy had like fallen, like basically been knocked out because he wasn't eating, because all they were eating were plants. And they were staying at this compound for a week. So Randy passes out, and they're putting this lotion on his head because he hit his head, and he starts eating it because he says it tastes good. And it's filled with hallucinogenic drugs. So he starts seeing everything in claymation.
That's amazing.
I think that was the only individual Emmy-nominated episode. And it's well-deserved. The claymation in it is really funny, and it's not like totally gimmicky. They actually play into the show a lot with it. But it's a really great episode. I know that the show as a whole was nominated for a lot of Emmys, but I think that one in general was nominated for like best writing or something. So that was a great episode. What's one you thought of that you love?
I love the beginning of season 2. The whole Joy stealing the van arc. Yeah, it's actually called Very Bad Things is the first episode.
Oh, okay.
Earl and Joy try to get rid of a stolen truck that contains unexpected cargo is the caption. So what happens is Joy gets mad at like a budget store because they won't take her return since she put gum in the receipt, and it was like
a $3,000
$3,000 thing. It was this big. She lives in the trailer park, and it was this big like TV
entertainment
center, like very 2006 entertainment center. Huge.
She watched Britney and K-Fed had it.
Yeah.
So she got it because K-Fed had it.
Yeah. So and it has like a TV in it and everything, and they can't get it in the trailer. So she sets it up outside and starts watching it. It gets like ruined from the rain. She's like sitting there with an umbrella and everything. So she brings it back, and they won't take it back. Well, no, she tries to bring it back first because it won't fit. Then she tries to make it work in the yard, and she's like, you know what? I'm going to get my $3,000 back somehow after they won't take it back. So she like leaves it there, and she's like pretty much telling them to fuck off. And when she walks outside of the budget store, she sees somebody like unloading a truck of like merchandise for the store, and she fucking steals the truck.
What she doesn't know is that the reason why the truck was unattended.
Yeah.
Should we tell the rest of it first?
She stores the truck in the woods until she can sell it because it's too hot. Anyways.
Yeah, she tries to sell it. They have this like local like guy who sells like random things, and he's like, I'm not going to sell a truck that on the side it says fucking budget like store. I mean, I'm not going to sell that truck. It's definitely well aware that you stole it. But this other chick, his like foreign mail order wife, is like listening, and she's like, I'll invest in it. Like, he's a fucking pussy. I'll do it.
And it's been a while too.
And it's been a while. And
she lets it sit for a minute.
She goes over to the trailer with Joy, and Joy this whole episode keeps talking about like, I want a surprise birthday party. I want a surprise birthday party. And this other chick she's about to do business with is like, I don't want surprises. I hate surprises. But this was a month before Joy's birthday, and Darnell pops out with Earl and everybody, and they all surprise her. And this mail order bride chick like flips over the railing and runs away, thinking that it's like a trap. And And she's like, it's not my fucking birthday. And he's like, you said you wanted a surprise birthday. And she's like, this is dumb. And he's like, well, it was Earl's idea. And Earl's like, yeah, I'm sorry. I thought the only way we could surprise you if we did it early. It's like, you can't plan a surprise birthday party. And then she tells Earl, because she's in such deep shit and she's worried about Crabman finding out and being mad at her, that she stole this truck. So her and Earl go to where they stored this truck. And
basically she ropes him into helping because she's fucked if he doesn't, because she would be out the $3,000. Sorry, there's a pause in the middle.
Yeah, it's fine. So the thing is, too,
we're not gonna pretend like that was seamless.
Is he basically he's starting to see things in a manner of karma related. You know, like he sees things almost like, you know, when Neo sees numbers in the Matrix. You know? Earl's starting to see things in clear conceptions of karma, and he's thinking, well, it's kind of fucked up that this place screwed you over because there was gum in the receipt. That seems unfair. And that I actually agree with.
Yeah.
You have the receipt, but there's gum in it. That's kind of bullshit that you're not going to take it back. I know that that's gross that people do that, but the fact is she came back with her receipt and clearly bought it from you guys. You even remember her. Just take the thing back. Like, don't be an asshole. So his thought process is, well, that's fucked up, so I guess I'll help you sell this truck, but like, you know, like you're only allowed to make the $3,000 for it. You cannot make a cent more. And she goes, no, that would be wrong. Like, as if selling a stolen truck isn't wrong. And then when they come out into the woods, they find that when they lift up the back hatch, the reason why she was so easily able to steal the truck unattended is because it wasn't unattended. The guy was in the back. And he tries to make a run for it. It
was a food truck thing. Like, it had like snack food. So thankfully he's alive.
He survived. It was like a Walmart kind of truck. So there was like a DVD player and stuff, but there was also like things like food, snack foods, drinks. Everything he needed was in the back. But that doesn't mean he wasn't sad. You saw that out of melted chocolate and ho-hos, he had made a dartboard. So when he was trying to escape, he like stuck his leg under the shuttering door, and she bit his foot to get it back in. They're like, oh my God, there's a guy back there. Like, you kidnapped a guy. And Joy goes, yeah, a hairy one. And you see her picking hair out of her teeth. It's iconic.
It is. It's just it's a great start to season 2.
Because season 2, this delivery driver, this truck driver, whatever you want to call him, this stock worker, he becomes an integral part of the story for the entirety of season 2. Because what happens in season 2 is after Joy's like Earl at some point when they're trying to fix everything and get the guy away from the truck and effectively sell the truck or return it or whatever, eventually everything falls through. He steals the truck back and like Joy's chasing him and she's like, Earl, help me. And he's like, I can't help you anymore.
I think I remember this scene, but I don't remember any of the rest of it. I just remember her chasing this truck.
Yeah. She's chasing the truck. And her thought process is, Earl's thought process is, there's a good chance he didn't get a good look at her. Turns out he was wrong. And she goes to court over it. And if she's convicted guilty, it turns out it would be her third strike.
Oh.
Which will put her in prison for the rest of her life. And so she gets this couple of public defense lawyer. It is a deaf woman, and they play a lot of jokes onto that are, you know, they're funny, but
they more just make Joy look dumb and insensitive.
I think that's yet again the thing is where they can go towards these very specific scenarios and groups of people in a lighthearted way, because the joke is never LOL, this person's deaf, they can't hear anything.
Yeah.
It's usually LOL, these fucking hillbilly ass people can't handle somebody who's not, you know, drinking Budweiser before 9:00. Like they don't understand any other groups of people, and that's kind of the meme, because Joy's like, I need a hearing lawyer, blah blah blah, you know, because she's a fucking moron. And at one point in the show, like the guy who did the delivery, he was living in an apartment alone, and he had one of those beds that you like lift up, like the ones that come from the wall.
Murphy beds.
A Murphy bed, and a big truck drove by his apartment, and it flipped him up, and he died. He was crushed against the wall with this bed. And he's dead. And like,
and Earl had put him on his list.
Earl put him on his list and like didn't know what to do to fix it, and eventually Joy starts feeling guilt too, which she said she has never felt. She's like, I wasn't angry because I didn't want to hurt anybody, and I wasn't sad because I didn't want to hurt anybody. I think I was feeling guilt. Like, she discovered guilt through this man dying and her like partying over it because she thought she definitely wasn't going to jail now. And then that leads into like them finding out that like he's secretly into like has all these friends on the internet, very much my friend Damon. What's up, Damon? And like all of his close friends are like through the internet. And I don't know, that episode to me is a bit, I think that it's funny. I think that it's cool that they address the internet and like Earl and Joy being too dumb to understand what instant messenger is because they've never owned a computer. He tries talking into the mouse like a microphone.
I think these are just good transitional episodes into what becomes
but what it does is it brings home the point of like, okay, Earl did this wrong thing by this guy, but he made it up to him, and Joy actually does feel guilt over what happened.
I feel like season 2 really starts like fleshing out Joy as like a full character,
and then the Joy character basically at that point, even though she felt guilty about everything, now she's under the impression, well, I'm definitely not going to jail. My only witness is dead. Like, I'm not going to prison. And she's out, like, I don't know, buying juice or something. And it's like, it's a ridiculous amount of juice.
Yeah.
And so as a result,
at that same store.
So yeah, at the same store. And then they bought all this juice, and then her lawyer's interpreter comes up to her, and he's a really old wife, and that's a joke, but it's not important. And he's like, hey, what are you doing buying all this juice? You're probably going to prison, right? Like, you're wasting all your money on this juice. And she's like, what the fuck? What do you mean I'm going? It's like, just because your dude's dead doesn't mean they don't have a bunch of evidence saying that you did this. And then she's going to go return the juice. This is great reincorporation. And she couldn't because she put gum in the receipt.
Yeah. She didn't even try when she realized she put gum in the receipt.
She was like, that's how I ended up in this situation in the first place. I can't go back now.
That's amazing.
And yeah, like there's so many great Joy moments in the show. Like, I remember in season 1, you find out that right before Joy snatched up Earl, he had a long-term girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then that girlfriend became a bounty hunter. And when Joy's bounty came across her desk, went to go beat her fucking ass. Do you remember that episode?
Yeah, because Joy like flees because she's about to go to prison.
It's a different reason for her bounty. It's like she didn't show up into court for something. This was the first season.
Gotcha.
But basically,
she goes and kicks her ass.
It like opens with like Joy like finding out that this chick's back because she's sitting in the trailer park, and there's large men in biker outfits hitting metal trash cans yelling bounty hunter, and you see this chick show up and she's got all these guns and she's all muscled out and shit now, and Joy's like, oh fuck, I'm so fucked. This lady tortures Randy, and like it's such a fucking good episode.
They really do good in reincorporation. Like the way they met gets reincorporated like through, like you find out new events that happen like the night that Joy and Earl met, like way later down the line.
This show is incredibly good at building on what it already has and giving you more context to things without ruining it. Like, yeah,
it never feels like they just like shoehorned it in there to make it make sense.
No, they're just, Earl's leaving parts of the story out early on, partly because of embarrassment.
Yeah.
And some of it because he was too drunk to remember. But the best moment is Joy's approached by this woman, and you think that Joy's about to get her ass beat, and Kung Fu Fighting starts playing, and Joy fucks this bitch up, and it's awesome. It's the best ever. She knocks out her 2 front teeth again. It was metal as fuck. Joy's it's such a good Joy moment. All right, but I want to talk about the cliffhanger ending real fast before we end. So, Franny.
Okay.
Do you want to leave the room?
Yeah, I want to leave the room.
I think I'll just have Cody physically get up and get you after the fact, and I'll just hold the air for a second.
I feel like I could talk about My Name Is Earl forever, though.
I know, but how deep are we in now? Like, how much? I don't want to do it till the literal end of the podcast.
I know. We'll just start a podcast.
Oh, you know what? There is stuff we should talk about first. Let's talk about Crabman.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Crabman.
What do you think of Crabman?
Oh, you know what? There's stuff I can't tell you about Crabman, I think. I think there's stuff I can't tell you about him yet.
Yeah.
But there's what do you think of the Crabman character?
Yeah.
I love Crabman. Even though his only lines are, hey, Earl. It's like...
That's all you've seen? But
or, hey, Mr. Turtle.
Yeah.
You know?
Mr. Turtle, yeah.
Mr. Turtle.
What about Earl Jr.?
He's a kid.
Right, I
love
know.
That he just comes out like it's like okay, okay, we know.
I love when Joy's breaking up with Earl in the hospital in the pilot, and she's like, "And Earl Jr. should really be with his daddy.
Should really be with his daddy." So Crabman is in the witness protection program.
Yeah,
and is actually has an insane. I don't know what you know, so I got to be careful. In other words, you think the best part about the show,
like a different name, everything.
Yeah, it's got a completely different name. His original name is isn't it like Harry Monroe or something?
Harry Monroe, yeah, and he's like really, really smart too. Like, and like they hint at
he
it.
He can
like,
categorize 259 different cheeses by taste alone.
Yeah.
That's canon.
I like that. That's their barometer for how smart he is.
Well, I mean, there's other things as well.
I don't know too much, but you kind of get the vibe that like he might have been like some sort of special ops something at times.
That's exactly
too.
That's exactly what's going on.
Yeah, which I didn't know for sure, but you get that vibe, and they make it like kind of known, like he's able to do some things that make no fucking sense, and I love the moments they always make good moments of like Crabman teaching Joy stuff.
Yeah,
or,
Crabman's
like,
teaching Joy to be a good person.
And like just like little facts she doesn't know. It's just a great dynamic.
It's so good.
The characters are great. Anyways, I will leave the room.
But no. One other thing that needs to be said about My Name Is Earl. If there's any episodes that you want to jump in on without being too tied into the canon, I recommend you look up the Cops episodes.
Yes.
The Cops episodes of My Name Is Earl aren't just funny. Like, they're like, you're going to fucking die from laughing funny. You're crying.
You should watch one.
I've literally cried laughing at the two-parter in like season 3, I think. Yeah. Oh, and also season 3. I think that it's fair to say that when Earl goes to prison,
pretty
for
much
a period of time,
Earl goes to prison instead of Joy. And
she gets found. She's about to be found guilty because the way they're going to convict her is he has all these 911 calls from back when they were married, and it shows how erratic and crazy she was.
After he just gave a great like character witness for Joy too.
They're all deciding. You could see the jury deciding that they're going to say Joy's guilty. So then Earl just says, "I did it. You'll find my fingerprints all over," because he doesn't have 3 strikes. So he goes to prison for Joy
for 2 years. Yeah.
For 2 fucking years.
And this was like right as Earl was getting his life together. Like
he had a job. He was dating
the
deaf
apartment.
lawyer.
Yeah, like him and Randy had their own beds.
Yeah.
He had a job where he was getting promoted at. Like the show was really taking a different turn, and then it just completely fucking 180'd.
Yeah, because at this point, karma had done more than give him good things in his life. It had turned him into a good person.
Yeah.
And he knew that if his phone calls where he was a drunken idiot and was lying half the time were used as a character defamation point for Joy and was going to put her away for life, away from her kids, away from Crabman, people that depended on her, he would feel like it was his responsibility. And not to mention the fact that Joy is on his list all the time. Like, he's done horrible things to Joy. And he feels like in this moment, like, you know what? I'm not, it's like, this is my first strike. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to go to jail for her. And then the judge is so frustrated that he waited that long. He gives him the maximum sentence of 2 years.
Wow.
But what I was going to say is season 3, the episode creative writing is awful. They should feel bad about it. I think that whoever worked on that episode should have been fired. And then a lot of season 3 isn't that strong because they had like a really strong prison storyline in the top of it, which was actually kind of good. I liked the prison stuff. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
But then the problem is that they clearly, as showrunners, were like, okay, it's not doing as well as back when we were doing list stuff. So they try to like move the envelope.
Yeah.
And they try to go back to doing list related things, which like I think is fine.
But they find a way to like make karma focus
when he's in prison, even though he doesn't have his list, karma is still the overall story. It's still contributing, and he's a criminal in this county. He's meeting people he wronged in the past.
Yeah,
like the 2-parter season 3 opener is him. They convinced this Camden Scout, which is like a version of the Boy Scouts, to break into a house for him, and that started his entire criminal career. So Earl was the reason this guy was in prison. And so that's like the opening thing for that season. But as the show went on, they did a lot of things that made season 3 really bad. And I'm really glad they returned with season 4, which is arguably one of the strongest, if not the strongest seasons in the whole show. Now Franny has to leave the room. Goodbye.
Yeah, I have to leave. I don't want any spoilers. I'm still on season 3. See you guys in a bit.
So what is the like the whole thing around it being canceled, because I do know that it was filmed before they found out that it was done.
Yeah, so the cancellation of the show came from low viewership actually in season 3.
Okay.
And then season 4 had already been shot pretty much to completion. And there was rumors that they were going to cancel the show. So the showrunner specifically ended on a cliffhanger to see if they could save it.
Canceled. Okay.
And the cliffhanger is...
Wow.
Franny nearly got spoiled instantly for it. Okay, I'm watching.
She walked in at the moment where he was about... The reason is...
All right. So the cliffhanger is... at the beginning of the show, you think that Dodge is not Earl's son. But you find out through insane backstory. Basically, Joy thought that this other character was Dodge's father.
Uh-huh.
And then through craziness, there was at a Halloween party. Turns out Earl was wearing the same costume that night, and Dodge is his legitimate son.
Oh.
But when they did all the testing to find out who was what, they found out that Darnell's not the father of Earl Jr.
I remember this.
And that is how they end the show. That is the final episode.
Oh my god. Okay.
That is the final episode of the entire show. That's how it ends. Okay, Franny, come back. Anyway, that's what I just think that's such a crazy cliffhanger, and I would address that in my movie version of things.
Well, yeah, you'd have to.
But that is such an angry, anger ensuing fucking cliffhanger end of a show. Franny, come back. She's not going to come back, is she?
I guess not.
Okay.
But yeah, watch the show. It's really good.
Seriously, watch the show. If you've already listened to all these spoilers and stuff, the show doesn't really ride on necessarily the plot, although I feel like the plot is pretty good for what it is. The show really rides on its individualism and its really open heart and relatable comedy. And not in the sense that it's just relatable, but also it's just so earnest. The comedy isn't mean-spirited. And that's really crazy for a show that's about drunken hillbillies, is the fact that the comedy is earnest and not aggressive, anti-gay and Steven Crowder type humor.
Yeah.
I am back.
It's about people like that, but coming to terms with the fact that they've been immoral their whole life. And the character of Randy throughout the show all the time is also as he's learning that Earl's doing good things and good things are happening, Randy starts to buy into it. And at any points where there's doubt, Randy's kind of the guy on his shoulder hey, you can't quit karma because...
Randy's kind of his good little angel.
Yeah, Randy's gone from being a bad little angel to a good little angel.
Well, Randy, I feel was never really malicious or anything.
There's times, especially when you find out certain things... I don't know if this is... I don't want to say...
Don't spoil a damn thing.
I'm not going to spoil anything, but Randy has moments that are just as cruel and evil as Earl's.
Okay.
Interesting.
Oh, total honesty. He's not completely... Because he bases his life off of what Earl does, and that's where he learned his moral compass was his brother. And there were times where Earl wasn't a good person, so neither was Randy.
True.
Interesting.
I love the episode where they got to steal everything back as well. When... You saw this one where they all joined that one place to steal that printer, remember?
Yeah.
And they got to be crooks again for the first time. And Randy has this thing, and it's mentioned in the pilot episode, where, and it's one of those dumb redneck things that's so funny, but you do hear that if he has a certain amount of beers in him, he's good at lying.
Yeah.
I fucking love shit. Or the fact that when Earl takes a picture, his eyes are always closed. That shit is so iconic and perfect and really is shit you hear about.
I love that he was it's that magic number of 9 that makes him...
Yeah.
that makes people mad. I loved that.
Yeah. If you ever wonder... Oh, yeah. Dibs. Yeah, when he was looking at Kenny's mom's ass.
Jesus.
So
there's a bunch of times in the show where they don't know that they just met Catalina for the first time. They keep finding out that they met her earlier and earlier than they thought. And Randy always goes dibs. Every fucking time. It's so good.
That's amazing.
Also in Earl's parents, that's all I have to say. Every character in this is just so fucking funny. And in a way where it doesn't feel like they're trying to go for punchlines. They're just funny, insane characters,
Right. I hope we've convinced you to watch it.
Watch it, definitely. All right, guys, we're about to come back with Raising Hope. We're going to take a quick break. Hey, looking for more content? Check out Crosscut Cinema, where me, Franny, and my friends review movies. Or check out a pilot podcast. We review TV pilots with recording artist CL Blue. Or hey, check out me hanging out with my friends on Average Joe Interviews. Socials and links are in the bio. Thanks, guys.
Hey guys, it's CL. I have an EP out now called Temple. It's a collection of songs I wrote when I was 18, and it's available on all streaming platforms, wherever you get your music.
So baby, look into my eyes. My body's a temple.
And we're back.
Hi.
Time to talk about Raising Hope.
That it is.
Okay.
Who's got the Wikipedia?
Cody does.
So, Raising Hope is an American sitcom that aired from September 2010 to April 2014 on Fox. It received multiple Primetime Emmy Awards. It follows James Chance, or Jimmy, a 23-year-old living in the surreal fictional town of Natesville who impregnates a serial killer during a one-night stand. And it's all about his trials and trying to keep his child.
So, Cody, was this your first time watching the show?
Yeah, it was. So I also avoided this show. And I find it very funny that they're in the same universe, because these are two shows I was actively like, this looks bad and trashy. I'm not going to enjoy this.
That's
So I
so
find it
funny.
very funny.
And the thing is, too, is it felt very Good Luck Charlie in the sense that it's like
Yeah.
the entirety of this show will rest on the lentils of a cute child. But this show is barely about hope. In my opinion,
yeah.
I think it's still a great concept. And like, I love the origin of her, Princess Beyonce. I love, like, you know, well, we'll get into the plot. I don't want to give anything away. If who wants to talk about the pilot itself?
Yeah, I'll talk about the pilot. So it centers around Jimmy Chance, a 23-year-old man who he skims pools for a living, and it's actually a family business with his dad and his uncle, or his cousin? His cousin.
His cousin did not make it past that
Yeah,
pilot.
his cousin did not make it past the pilot.
Didn't make it with the screening audience.
Nope.
Oh.
But he skims pools for a living. He's kind of just feeling like he's not really doing anything with his life. They're all kind of not really doing.
I do want to say this in the episode.
Yeah.
You missed out on a gag. You don't know that that's his dad until they're having dinner
Yeah.
together, or you
You're
know,
right.
like, yeah. So
Yeah.
he's like, "Mom," and then he turns over to his dad, and his dad's like, "Jimmy,"
Yeah.
and then you realize, oh shit, that's his dad. Oh my god.
Right. And it's made even funnier because, like, when he's skimming pools and stuff, like, this guy comes by on a lawnmower and, like, blows a bunch of leaves into the pool, right? And it's his, and, like, him and his turns out to be cousin are talking about how the boss is kind of a dick. And then it turns out to be his dad, and they all live together.
They all live together, and like, there's a scene where the cousin's like, and the worst part about the boss is whenever you're peeing in a bush, he always pushes you, and like, he notices he's yelling at his son, so he runs over and tries to pee real quick, and the dad notices and pushes him, and it's just like, what is this show? I think the first 10 minutes of this show is like bad comedy that I can kind of get behind,
Right.
but man, once you get into this kid being like, I want to do things with my life, and he's drawing the fucking picture.
Yeah.
And it looks crazy, but he's clearly very, like, talented.
Yeah.
And then he goes out on that drive, and I mean, you can go on to what happens there. But I just think that, like, the first 10 minutes of the show is not indicative of the rest of the show.
I
No.
literally have on my notes, what the hell is this show?
Yeah.
Based on the first 10 minutes.
I mean,
I
those
don't
first
blame you.
10 minutes, they're trying to show you. I think that this show is a little worse than My Name Is Earl. Is still really good.
Yeah.
But it's a little worse because they can't ride on they can't solely ride on like flashbacks. Although they do a lot of really good flashback stuff in this show.
Yeah.
But they can't ride on it the same way that My Name Is Earl does, where he's really great in one scene, but then in a flashback you see how much of a dirtbag he is.
Yeah.
So as a result, they need to make the parents kind of on the line. They need to be a little dirtbaggy but have a good heart. But you need to find a way to like them even when they do really unlikable shit.
Yeah.
And I think early on that's tough, but as the show goes on, like, you grow to love these characters.
Okay.
Especially in the first episode. Like, the first 10 minutes of that episode is like,
Right.
fuck all these characters. I can't get behind any of them. even Lucas Neff, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Like, I can't get behind anybody. And then as it goes on, you kind of
Yeah.
do. But anyway, sorry. I was
So, like,
just starting to interrupt you.
No, you're good. So, like we were saying, Jimmy feels like he's doing nothing with his life. He sits down to draw, and he's like, I'm gonna, like, or he sits down to, like, write out his life plan, and he ends up just drawing a ridiculous picture instead. So he goes out on a drive. I forget what he's doing. Do you remember what he's doing?
He's going to the grocery store.
He's going to the grocery store to get they live with Mammal, or do they call her Mammal?
Yeah, they call her Mammal.
Which is funny because Cody has
I have a Mammal.
Yeah, that you lived with and had antics with.
If you loved the grandmother and Malcolm in the Middle, that's who plays the Mammal.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
And she's just the senile old lady who they live in her house. So
kind of against her will, by the way.
Kind of against her will, but you don't. Do you know that in the pilot? You kind of do know that in the pilot. Yeah.
Because they're worried about her being sentient.
Yeah.
In the first episode.
She goes, what are you guys doing here? And the cousin comes out and she goes, who are you?
Right. So they're living there. Mammal runs out of bubblegum ice cream or some
Which
shit
is
like
her
that.
favorite.
Yeah. So Jimmy is going to go to the store to get it. And he meet that one bagger lady right then?
I think he had met her at that moment.
Okay.
Or I don't think he meets her after everything happens.
Yeah, he meets her with Hope.
Because that's what makes her approach, is because she's like, what are you doing with this child?
I remember that.
Did you steal a cart?
Right. So
but he gets it from that store though. He gets the bubblegum and then like you said,
because the store also changes after the pilot.
Yes,
also,
which is directly a thing with the pilot that they said they wanted the store to be more like kitschy. Greg's. You know what's crazy about the networks? They claim to hate everything Greg Garcia, but whenever he makes a show, they want him to Greg Garcia it up a little bit more.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you need the characters that like a character being obsessed with bubblegum ice cream is a Greg Garcia-ism.
Right.
Like something so specific and stupid, but is so fucking relatable.
But yeah.
Also, the gay actor. Not the actor, but the actor
who
but not
played
the character,
Kenny.
who played Kenny is the manager of the store in the first episode. So I liked a little link there too.
Right, I forgot that it wasn't like Kenny for a second.
It's the actor.
It's a bit of a View Askew-universe where he uses a lot of characters to replay things, but technically this is the same world as My Name Is Earl.
Yep.
Because actually in the pilot, you got to get to your part first.
Yeah, so he goes to the store, and when he's driving back in like their shitty van, this lady, like this girl, starts running at the car and basically like hops in and is like, go, go, go. And she's being chased by somebody. So she's just like a woman around his age in distress. He helps her and she's like, oh my God, you saved my life, and fucks him in that van. And then I mean, yeah, they hook up
ice cream melts all over the dash.
It melts all over the dash. Jimmy wakes up in the van and he goes inside, and Lucy is her name. He finds out she's actually in there with his family eating breakfast.
And they're all like loving her. Like she's so quippy and smart and clearly hot as fuck. And like,
like Jimmy didn't even know her name yet.
Yeah. And like she shoved her, the way they find out her name is interesting.
Yeah. So she goes to the bathroom. And they're watching TV on their
aggressively tongue kissing him, by the way.
Yeah,
aggressively
really
nasty
tongue kissing him.
awful.
And the whole family's into it. They love it.
He and Mammal both.
Mm-hmm. But so she goes to the bathroom, and while she's in the bathroom, the news is on, and it's her like wanted poster because she just killed somebody, right?
She's known for killing her.
She's known for killing
She's
boyfriends.
a serial killer.
Yeah, she's a serial killer of boyfriends.
But also, right after they find that out, she's in the bathroom. The next news story that plays is reformed degenerate criminal makes a list of all the bad things he's ever done and finished crossing them off, and you'll never guess how it ends. And right as that's said, the chick walks back into the room, and the mother smashes the TV over the chick's head, which is it's like a double moment where it's like, great, this is a gripping moment where like they knock the bitch out, but also like for those Greg Garcia fans out there, they're like, oh, fuck you for that Easter egg, because it's such a like middle finger, you know?
It's such a fuck you.
which they do that in the show a lot. I mean, I don't want to get ahead, but there's an episode later on where the dad's in front of, for whatever reason, a bunch of studio executives. And he goes, which one of you's NBC? And the one guy raises his hand, and he runs over and kicks the guy in the nuts. And he's like, that's for canceling My Name Is Earl. And the NBC guy goes, that was 8 NBC heads ago. I love My Name Is Earl.
That's funny.
Good thing we have good things happen. Like the guy's like on the ground, like quoting My Name Is Earl, holding his nuts. I loved that. That was awesome. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So Lucy goes to prison, and Jimmy, like 9 months later, or a couple months later.
It was like 6 months later.
Yeah, 6 months later, Lucy reaches out to him from jail, and he goes there, to see her and finds out that she's pregnant with his baby.
Dun, dun, dun.
And she thinks it's great because she doesn't think that she's going to get the electric chair if she is a mother of a newborn baby, and it bought her some time. Well, turns out she's fucking wrong, and they let her fry.
And what's even crazier is there's this built-in thing with the prison, and this is a reference towards My Name Is Earl, that like the female prisoners have like a 6-month maternal time with the children in the prison. So this baby spends time in prison.
Yes.
And it's a reference toward the prison stuff from My Name Is Earl as well. So it's yet again still the same connected universe. But
so the baby is technically an ex-con.
The baby's an ex, well, I don't know about that, but it is an ex-prisoner.
But they make jokes about her being
being on the inside, like, so anyway, he's like, so he literally. It's a quick cut. It's her saying, "Oh, they'll never, execute somebody who's 6 months. It was 6 months with a child," and then like it cuts to him holding Princess Beyonce, aka Hope, watching in horror as she's electrocuted, and the baby watches, and does he cover her eyes?
I think he does cover her
eyes.
Oh,
thank God! Fucking Christ! This baby has no hope.
Still weird that there's like a screening where you can see someone getting the electric chair.
That's still a thing, by the way.
Like that's so fucked,
dude. There are so many ways that people kill people, and they found that because of moral parameters, the most moral thing to do would just be to shoot them in the head. But because it's not like, something that's politically liked, they do these drugs that like don't always work or like cause people to be frozen awake for like 48 hours and have to be shot again. Think about being paralyzed for 48 hours, not being able to move a muscle, and then having to die. Or the shooting squads where people live. Because it's a shooting squad and it's supposed to be an anonymous killing between the 7 people shooting the guns, the aims are always like off. Like they just kind of stand in one spot and shoot, and they don't always hit vital organs. So people survive those and then have to have it done again.
That's insane.
Just get a gun and if you believe in corporal punishment, which I don't, just shoot him in the head. Be nice.
I was about to say, let's not get into corporal punishment on this podcast.
I cannot believe there's got to be a majority of people who think corporal punishment should be gone.
Yeah, I'm sure, but
especially Arla. If you don't think that, tell us about it in the comments.
I don't think this is the platform. Oh my goodness!
Any engagement, Franny.
We're gonna take a hard turn back into talking about the pilot.
And whether it was morally right for the girl
my
to die.
goodness.
Anyway, go ahead. She was a serial killer. I'll hear you out on that one. Go ahead.
So, Jimmy is now the guardian of this baby. He takes the baby and
the father.
The father, yes. But he's chosen to take care of the baby, or at least wants to. And his mother is like, no, like you're going to drop the baby off at the fire station. Like you're not taking care of this baby. You can't take care of this baby and we can't help you.
Right.
So... I mean, pretty much they all fall in love with the baby, right?
There's this amazing flashback scene that like leads into the standard scene where you see the whole show is telling you the whole time that his parents are terrible parents and were terrible parents to him.
And they had him super young, too.
And they had him super
like
young.
15,
and I love the flashback parents. Those actors are great. And Greg Garcia is always so good at that where he picks the essence of a character before the looks of one, where I feel like that mother doesn't look that much like his mother, but is such a great actress that she pulls it off. But then they do this scene where it's shown that like Jimmy used to cry a lot too, just like Hope, because Hope is crying this whole fucking episode. And they're just like, we're going to do what worked with you.
Yeah, Jimmy just thinks he has it handled, and they let him like try to fumble fuck it because they want to prove to him that like he can't fucking take care of this baby.
So they play the song.
Yeah.
And I mean, the scene, without, going into like what the song is, I can't exactly remember what the song is, but it's really touching. Like it might make you cry. Like it's a beautifully shot scene where you're seeing
like even though we ain't got money.
Yeah.
Which I love that song.
And just the way it was played out where it's like not only is Hope like calming down and you're seeing the flashback of Jimmy as a little kid calming down, which is already an adorable duality where you understand like this small thing that you guys created has now created something else and it's making them fall in love with the child.
Right.
But then also Jimmy seeing what all his parents are really doing and what they've done for him, and he gets an appreciation for them.
Yeah.
And it's like a real loving moment where you see like, okay, this family is very dysfunctional and maybe more dysfunctional than should be, but there is a tenderness there, and that's what really latches you onto the characters. I'm telling you, it's hard to hold back tears during the scene. It's really well done, very believable, and really touching. Very touching. Yeah. So that's one of the things I was talking about, where I said they do great flashbacks throughout the show. They use flashbacks in a different way than My Name Is Earl. Instead of showing how heinous in that show Earl can be, they use the flashbacks in these shows to further along a plot, but a lot of the times also show a sweetness and a moment in time. And I think that that's a really interesting way to do it, because it's hard to have all these sweet moments sometimes when you're dealing with the chaos of a new baby. And I think showing those family moments in flashbacks, it helps with the character development and understanding why Jimmy operates a certain way and why the parents operate a certain way. With the things they're stuck into, you know, there's this whole later episode where the subject is they're all dreamers, and they show that really well. Yeah. Like, they don't come off like they're people who dream about anything. They come off like desperate poor people. Yeah. But in reality, they all have big dreams. And it shows that no matter how old you are, you shouldn't give up on that. This show is filled with tons of good sentiment and like really, really great flashback scenes. With that being said, I hate the grocery store girl. I think she's the most annoying fucking character on the planet.
You don't like her?
Hate her. And I hate the fact that she's a staple in the show. I hate her. She's the worst. She thinks it's funny that they're like mentally ill and makes fun of them. And then at another point, she like very clearly is like judging Jimmy.
So basically, Jimmy,
I don't like her.
Jimmy is going grocery shopping with Princess Beyonce, because that's what Hope is named for the moment. And he is this all in the pilot where he meets her? Yeah. So he's grocery shopping and he doesn't have a car seat or anything. He's just like letting the baby be in a cart, their family cart.
He had to walk because when he got the baby, he only has his van, and in the back seat is just a beanbag, and he doesn't have like a car seat. And he's like, well, it's dangerous to have this thing on a beanbag. So they have a shopping cart that they grill burgers on. And that's it. He just fills it with pillows and walked her all the way there. Walked her all the way to the pawn shop with the shopping cart.
Trying.
And the reason,
and he pawned like all his things to try to get her car seat.
And the reason why the chick notices him isn't because of the baby initially. It's because he's walking with their shopping cart. He's like, no, I've had this for years. If you look, there's cheese on the side. And then she looks inside and she's like, is that a baby? Where'd you get that baby? And then he got a car.
Like, it's genuinely concerned.
He got a car seat from like the 60s or something. And but he sold what's also adorable is you see he sold everything. I mean, he gave up everything.
Yeah, like all his like video games stuff.
All his video games, all his guitars and shit. And you're like, damn, this kid's really trying to do it, you know?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I liked that scene. I liked the whole like didn't have a car seat thing. I liked the scene where he's like, you know, they're like, we didn't have that kind of stuff back when we had you. And he's like, they have that kind of thing. He's like, no, like we didn't have it. And then it flashes back to a scene
one of the best scenes.
Of this kid looking through the bottom of his car. Like, don't go in the car hole, honey.
He's just like flopping around in the back seat because he's not strapped in.
And he just like
his head through the bottom of the car. And he's like, how am I not dead?
Yeah.
It's so good.
And I feel like this show just really plays on like, it's never... Like, I have a friend that's pregnant right now, and she didn't necessarily plan to be pregnant right now, but like her and her husband like knew they wanted a kid, just like not necessarily now. And something that her and I talked about a lot was that the timing can never be perfect. Everybody, like, people will say like they want to wait until the perfect time. Like, the timing can never be perfect. And this is what the show kind of talks about, that like everything's not going to be perfect. You got to just make it happen.
And it's a cute moment where they all come to the conclusion like, this baby could mean something for us. Like the baby, she's not just named Hope. She's in a sense like hope for them.
Yeah,
like they want to make something good for the planet, because they feel like the parents feel like they failed Jimmy, and Jimmy feels like he's failed himself.
Yeah,
and he's like, well, we can all be a part of this kid's life and like give this kid a great life and make her a great person. But there is a funny moment. I think it's in either the next episode or the one after. But she always is frowning all the time. And he's like, I know it's hard I know you couldn't act soft on the inside, but like, you're out of prison now. Like, you can smile. It's so fucking good.
Yeah, this show's good.
I will say, you can tell it was filmed in the early 2010s because apparently someone thought it'd be cool to tattoo the mustache to their finger.
Oh, that one's tough, yeah.
It's like, you know that this was... It's a sign of the times.
And like the other thing too is you can tell that the pilot was shot separate from the rest of the show. The house looks different. The cousin is gone. They changed the styling of the grocery store. like there's a lot of that in there, where they clearly were like, they put it in front of a test audience and they were like, we hate this, this, and this. And I get why they hated the cousin character. He is fucking horrendous. I was so glad when he was gone.
And there's also enough characters.
And it's not just that either. It's like, how are we gonna, like, what was the cousin character going to accomplish? Like, what was his contribution? Because even in the pilot, he didn't help with Hope at all. He just happened to live there.
Literally, one of my notes is, folks out there, please never have sex with someone who wears purple sparkle pants. He probably has herpes. And I'm glad that he didn't make it to the rest of the show. That sounds like it might be watchable now.
Oh yeah, bad. The show gets better. And Logan and I were talking about this too. Like, we'd both watched this show in the past, but like didn't appreciate it.
I think I say this about every Greg Garcia property. I used to watch stuff that he made. Yeah. And I knew it was good, but I think as I'm older now, I understand how good, in the sense that these shows are deceptively really smart. Even like the dumbest jokes in like Raising Hope or My Name Is Earl are smart, and like when you rewatch, you'll catch up on different meanings of jokes. Like there's some double entendres even that he writes that are so hard to pick up on initially. Like that's how smart this writing is. And I love the fact that he's also a self-referential kind of creator. Like he always is like, hey, I'm going to mention this other show I did, or I'm going to do this thing to combine the universe. And that's really just for like the 1% of people who give a fuck.
And I love that.
And he's like, I'm doing this for you. And like, that's so cool. Like he did that shit early, kind of like Kevin Smith did. Not everything was the MCU. And he was doing that kind of shit of like, I'm going to reward you for watching the other things we do by having the continuity be spotless, as well as having like backstories that match up.
Love it. Would you recommend the pilot?
Yeah, I would. This one's an 8 out of 10 for me. It's not as good as My Name Is Earl. I hate the main character. I hate the pilot, actually. I think the pilot's the weakest episode, but it's still actually really good.
Yeah, I'd say about an 8 out of 10. I like everything they changed a lot better than what it is. I'd say watch the pilot, but watch the second episode before you make a decision for yourself.
And the song is the intro song, and the intro titles suck in my opinion. I hate it.
Yeah, it's not as good as
I don't like the storybook stuff. I think that here we go, but it's so 2010, like it just feels kind of dated. Whereas My Name Is Earl was a little timeless. I wasn't into everything that they were doing as far as like music choices in the show. Like
I really like the song they sing, though.
No, that one makes sense, and that one's really like earnest. And I think it comes from the fact that those parents were trashy when they had this kid, and that song was probably really popular. I meant more of like the score.
Yeah.
And like the goofy like xylophone-ness of it. Like we have a kid in the show. Sometimes I feel like that's a little overbearing, especially in the intro song. But I think the character Mamaw is dope, and I know a lot of people actually hate that character, but I think she's fucking awesome.
I love that she walks out just topless in the end. She's just like,
you're just gonna have to convince her we're not that crazy, and then isn't it like she's gonna find out you're not crazy, and then like Mamaw walks out without her shirt on. Relatable.
More relatable for Cody.
Thank God that's never happened. I think I'd give this like a 6.5. I would say that I thought this was really dumb, and it kind of made me go, huh? For like the first like 10, 15 minutes. And then it got more redeemable as time went on. I get what you're saying, where like you can tell there's a lot of really great stuff here and great material, but I just don't know if the pilot was well executed.
The pilot really feels like a pitch, in the sense that it's like, okay, I'm going to throw Greg Garcia-isms in there, but I'm also going to make this show seem like it is a standard cable network show. Like you're going to feel like this is the middle.
Yeah.
Or this is like The Big Bang Theory or Young Sheldon. Like he was trying to pitch it. It really felt like pick up my show.
Yeah.
Because the rest of the show isn't even identical really in any way. Like even the shot compositions are different, and the grocery store setting is like wildly more cartoonish. And I think that's like so indicative of how much they changed the rest of everything from the pilot. Even some of the characters were different. Like I feel like the dad was a little more goofy in the rest of the show, whereas he was just like a kind of angry moron originally.
Yeah, I like the goofy version of the dad.
And then the mother was like a tired smoker, but in the next episode she's neurotic and insane. And like I like those character versions a little bit better. I feel like we got glimpses of that in the pilot, especially during the dinner table scene, which was really funny, or the breakfast scene, or whatever you want to call it, with that serial killer lady. But like the rest of the pilot wasn't super reflective of that, and I feel like the rest of the show really does that.
Yeah.
So, and like, you know, the bum tooth girl episode, I just want to mention real fast. I feel like this isn't a spoiler because it's the very next episode. I dated a girl with a bum tooth once, and yeah, same thing.
Same thing.
Same thing. She it's so bad she edits it on Facebook.
A butter tooth instead of a butter face.
Yeah, definitely. Well, she was crazy, but also she had like this bad tooth that like she hid very effectively, and I met her on MySpace or Facebook, and then we.
Oh God.
But she still edits her pictures on Facebook to have like perfect teeth, and I'm like, dude, I know you lying because your tagged photos look crazy.
Oh no.
Wow.
I was when we were watching my Raising Hope, I was just high, and I was like, I wonder if that girl's still on Facebook, and I looked at her pictures, and I was blown away by that. Just wanted to mention that. Not going to say her name. You know who you are. You should feel bad.
Oh my goodness.
Not about the tooth thing. You know why you feel bad.
Jesus.
Would you say you guys are represented in this cast of characters?
I mean, I would say I am.
Yeah, I think that Frani and I are clearly the parents.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. I could totally see that.
Yep.
Love that.
I think Cody's hope. We just are trying to all make a better life for him.
Oh my God.
We're just all trying to make a better life for Cody.
I mean, that's fine with me.
Oh my God.
My only other option was I could maybe see Grocery Store Girl, because like I remember at work being so bored I would like rearrange things just to rearrange them back.
Yeah.
Like unfolding a stack of shirts when I used to work at Hot Topic and then refolding them just to have something to do. So I totally get that.
Jesus. Yeah, I feel that.
Also, would slam the dad.
Oh yeah.
Would marry the son, kill the cousin. We're good.
I think I would interesting. I'm not sure who I would. I think I would marry the dad. He seems dependable, and he reminds me of you, Logie. I think I would kill the grocery store girl. Not a fan.
She just sucks so hard.
Yeah.
Like maybe we haven't rewatched the show in a long time. We only watched a couple of episodes recently. Maybe she's better as it goes on, but like she's a real fucking cunt in these first couple of episodes. I'm not gonna lie about it.
And I'd probably slam Jimmy just once.
I think I would marry Mamaw because she's the only one with assets.
Mamaw does have assets.
Solid.
She's the only one with assets, and she's gonna die like any second.
Yeah.
I would definitely. I'd fuck the mom because I always think that crazy women are attractive, and like when she's that crazy, it's even more attractive. And like the smoker tired mom thing, like probably like doesn't even want to like take her shirt off. You know, she doesn't want the lights on. I'm all about that.
Just makes you feel right at
Yeah,
home.
just like. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. I love that. That feels great for me. That feels like home. And I would say I would kill. I mean, I gotta imagine I'd have to kill Jimmy's dad by that point because of all the things I've done to the women in his life.
Probably.
I probably gotta kill him,
Just
right?
put him out of his misery.
Right.
Yeah. You know, probably drown him in the pool.
Yeah.
Run him over with a lawnmower.
Make it look like an accident. Get him with the weed whacker.
With the way they run their business, potentially.
Yeah. True.
Push him in some bushes.
Hey, when it's male pubes, do you call it a bush?
Yes, I think so.
I don't know, man. I just don't know if I'd say my bush. That seems weird.
Sound off in the comments. Let us know what you call your
like
male pubes.
Before,
but don't say male
like
pubes.
maybe in a derogatory way. You're not gonna if you try to write comments about pubes and bushes. YouTube's not gonna.
I know. Sadly.
Talk about it like shrubbery.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk to us about trees.
Yeah,
Yeah.
trees. Dude, if trees are surrounded by a shrub, is it a bush?
Ooh.
Hey.
Might just be landscaping. I don't know.
But like, seriously, it seems like calling it a bush would be kind of weird and derogatory in a sense.
I feel like it's actively on women called a bush. I
Yeah.
don't know why that is.
Well, I think women have embraced it, but I think it was a negative thing to say about unshaved women at one point. Like her bush was huge. She didn't
bush
trim
is
around
back.
the hedges. You know what I'm saying? The bush never left. But like women, if you want to have a bush, that's cool. But I'm just saying, Do I have a bush? If I have a bush, is it a bush or is it something else? You know what? Let's just rate the episode.
Is it a merkin?
We already did.
That's like a wig, right?
Is it a Louis Vuitton?
We already
Is it
did
a
rate
Louis
the
Vuitton?
episode, babe. You gave it an 8. I gave it an 8. Cody gave it a 6.5.
Yeah, let's end it. That's what I'm saying.
Wow.
Oh,
Memory.
you said rate.
Wow, memory.
Oh, yeah, I might have said rate. I meant to say end it.
You meant rap.
Let's give it
Let's
a
wrap
rate.
it.
Let's give it a little rap.
Lucas Neff is the weakest actor in the show, but he still does a good enough job. That's my
Who is
last
that?
thing. That's the guy who plays Jimmy. I think he's the weakest actor.
Is he
in the
in
Oh.
anything else?
I don't know. That name is super familiar though.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
I don't know if he was like a Disney kid or a Nickelodeon kid, or if he was always like doing network stuff.
Hold on, I
but-
got him pulled up. Let's see. Just to find out. He yeah. Oh, he's in the Monsters at Work. Like the new one.
He did Raising Hope, and then like
yeah.
7 years later did Monsters
Yep.
at Work. Okay.
A Trash Trunk Christmas was something that he's been in since 2020.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's move on.
he's not in anything
Yeah, we're
good.
good.
All right, guys. Well,
Pass.
Oh, he's in Marriage Story?
I don't remember him in Marriage Story. He
He's
must have played
probably a
somebody
very
weird.
background character,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, he definitely. It's not like he was Adam Driver or anything.
No, definitely
Blame me
not.
for it. All right. All
So
right.
where can they find you guys?
You can find Logan and I on Crosscut Cinema Podcast, where we review movies with our two friends, Madison and Bridget.
YouTube.com/Crosscut Cinema. You can listen to us talk about Step Up and Jamie Kennedy in Kicking It Old School.
And Tatum Channing.
Tater Channing, as he's called. Or you can check out my personal channel, youtube.com/Logan Tyler. Sorry, Logan Tyler Music, but I'm a flex every time. And on that channel, you can listen to my personal podcast, my personal projects, clips from these podcasts, whether it be a pilot pod or Crosscut Cinema, or any sort of like fun little content that I'm posting. I'm posting over there, so make sure to subscribe over there.
Nice. I have a channel. It's linked somewhere in the down bar, I think.
It always is.
And
Subscribe so we can get his URL.
yes, please. That would be amazing.
Yeah, we're not paying Google for that shit. Just give it to him already.
Yeah.
And I also have music out. It's called Temple. It's out on all streaming platforms.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Or
2 weeks from now.
at another time.
Or
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Or maybe, I don't know, but you guys knew this episode was coming for longer than it was coming.
Or yesterday.
Or yesterday.